Evening. I will call the January council meeting to order. I'm looking for my in-session sign so Tom can make sure he is on back there. Thank you all for being here this evening, as well as to council members for attending this evening's meeting. First item on our agenda, beyond the call to order, is our roll call. All members have indicated present. Third item on our agenda, the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a silent prayer in lieu of invocation. I invite you to please stand. Item number 4 on our agenda this evening is the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Council members, it's attachment number 1 in your packet. What are your wishes regarding that item?
Move to approve, place on file.
We have a motion to approve by Kirkpatrick. Is there a second? Second by Ferkey. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, moving to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5 on our agenda is the explanation of the visitor speaking procedure this evening. Members of the public may address the body after being recognized by a council member, in which they'll be allowed to speak on an agenda item before us this evening. You'll be invited to the podium. Make sure you introduce yourself, indicate your address so we can get you on the record, and make sure that the microphone is on. When you hit the microphone push button, it turns green, indicating that you are on, so Tom can pick you up on TV as well as for the audience, for us to hear you up here as well. Next item on the agenda, item number 6, is my report. Good evening, alderpersons, city staff, residents here or watching from home. As with previous month's reports, I will highlight some of the many items that I partake in, or items that cross my desk during the month following the last council meeting. Over the past month, we've experienced a number of successful milestones in advancing a number of mayor's councils. I'd like to take the opportunity to discuss the highlights from 3 of those councils over the last month. First item is the last year we formed a mayor's council on beautification, which through efforts like the hanging basket program, various planting events, successfully transformed areas of our city into bright and colorful exhibits. Key to this success has been and will continue to be the involvement of residents, like some of you in this room, of our citizens, and the development of the relationships we will have with our local and outside partners. The key projects for 2015 include beautifying city entrance signs, expanding the flowering basket program, promoting tree planting events from a citywide sale of trees for private and possible public planting. To help fund these projects, we're proud to announce that we received $2,000 from ATC, American Transmission Company, through its community planting program. It was awareness by members of the Beautification Council of an available opportunity and for the beautification work completed last year that helped our city to be recognized as competitive candidate for the funding. This money, as well as the CN's grant of $25,000 that we received earlier this last year, will further enable us to support planting pride and further enhance our appeal to residents and visitors. Over the past few weeks, as was announced at our last council meeting by our student observer, Nicholas, we've been hard at work at preparing the launch of the Mayor's Youth Council. This preparation included a visit of myself to nearly all 9th graders at WRPS, the entire high school population at Assumption, and various classes at Lincoln. In short, I talked about the need for youth to be involved, to participate in meaningful ways to advance a better city for not only today's youth, but for all of them as a place to return to in their future. The response to applications has been very strong. Over 30 students in our community have applied, and our first meeting will be taking place next Wednesday. Our initial meetings will be fine-tuning the group structure and projects. Since the long-range intention is to emulate this body's structure, the council structure, and I expect to propose language at a future council meeting to formally recognize that group. On a similar note, over the past 2 months, myself, members of the community, and city staff have been meeting regularly in anticipation of forming a Mayor's Council on Sustainability. These meetings sought to build on the 2009 commitments and the efforts by my predecessor, Mary Jo Carson, by the City Council in becoming a more sustainable community. The aim of the Mayor's Council on Sustainability will be able to help move the city closer to goals set forth in the city's 2009 resolution as well as further define goals in becoming a more sustainability overall. Upcoming on our agenda, you'll be asked to consider this resolution to formally renew our commitment to sustainability and acknowledge community's partners' efforts to ensure continued sustainable practices for our community. Additionally, in the coming weeks, we'll be formally launching the Mayor's Council on Sustainability, in which we invite members to the council, as some, like Alderperson Hepp, already have joined, to participate and represent the city's sustainability interests. So we look forward to developing an opportunity for residents to continue to partner in this way, and look forward to measurable improvements to reduce consumption, expand reuse and recycling, improve efficiency of buildings and transportation, enhance community wellness, and preserve our living environment for all of those who live here. And then finally, I'll be holding my third annual State of the City address on Wednesday, February 4th, 2015. This year's State of the City will take place, as it has in the past, at McMillan Memorial Library, with a pre-address reception beginning at 6:30 and remarks at 7 p.m. Look forward to highlighting the initiatives, some of which we talked about tonight, that my office and city staff have been working on during the past year, as well as share a vision and other priorities for the upcoming year. To learn more about the event or to RSVP, please visit the city website later this week or contact my office. I hope you find value in a sampling of what my office and my weeks consist of. As a reminder, I encourage residents to subscribe to my community update, something I publish weekly. And if you're not online, catch variations recorded on RCCA Media or simply request a print version of my office, from my office, in which I will mail you a copy of that. Thank you. The next item on our agenda this evening is the recognition of outgoing Library Director Ron McCabe for his years of service at McMillan Library. Ron, would you please come forward?
Staff members with the city that have been so helpful. We've been working lately, as we do from time to time, with the engineering department. Big thank you over the years to Dave Laspa and also Joe Eichstadt. Jim Borski has been very helpful on so many occasions. Kurt Hoyer, Dave Patton, and also Tim DeSorsi. We appreciate all the help and assistance, and it's been great fun doing some good work for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Thank you.
Ron, thank you for your service. Ron had a nice finale to his years of service at the library with a really nice concert last Thursday evening. It was very great. Item number 8 is the report of the Planning Commission held January 12th. The Planning Commission met at 4 p.m. on January 12th in the first floor conference room of City Hall. All members were present except for Tim Burkhauser. Also attending were Alderperson Tom Rayom and City Staff Adam Tegan. There was a motion and a second to approve the report of the December 8th Planning Commission. That motion carried. Item 2 was a map and plat received from Dale and Muriel Carlson, CSM, in which they were requesting a certified survey map approval for the creation of 2 lots and the dedication of public right-of-way. Subject properties were located on northeast corner of Kingston Road and 32nd Street North. There was a motion and a second to approve the report contingent upon a 10-foot dedication of public right-of-way along 32nd Street as required by the official map. There were no other maps or plats received. Item 3 was a discussion and review of Chapter 46 sign regulations. The commission discussed possible revisions to Chapter 46 sign regulations that have arisen since its adoption in March of 2013. Adam Teagan will bring back draft revisions back to the commission at the March meeting. There was a motion to adjourn, and that motion carried. Council members, what are your wishes regarding the report of the Planning Commission?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Kirkpatrick, second by Alderperson Kellogg. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots.
Motion carried. 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Item number 9 is approve agreement with Strand Associates Incorporated for professional services in resolving sludge bulking and filamentous bacteria problems at the wastewater treatment plant. This agreement was recommended for approval by the Wastewater Treatment Commission at its meeting on January 7, 2015. The agreement cost is not to exceed $29,131, with the city paying 25% of that cost, and 3 industrial users will pay the remaining 75%. Council members, that is attachment number 2 in your packet. Entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion to approve by Alderperson Kellogg, a second by Alderperson Rayom. Any discussion? Any discussion? Alderperson Kirkpatrick, please.
Thank you. So the city's portion is $7,282.75. Is that accurate?
Sounds right.
And then this was kind of dense reading. I don't know if, and as
Come
my
on,
wife
it's riveting.
pointed out, a little not riveting, but definitely critical to the operations down there. Jim, could you maybe kind of hit some of the high points of what this says and where you believe it might be leading us?
Well, we've had problems with this filamentous bacteria. It drives up the cost of operations. It's inherent in the wastewater that comes from the industrial users. So we got the industrial users to come together and we're going to do this study by an engineering firm, and they're going to look at everything. So it's kind of a world view of what's going on here. I didn't feel that just finding the industrial users was the way to go. You're not going to find the answers. And you could, but it's going to be a lot of misery. So kudos to the industrial users for jumping on board without us having to go through enforcement. And hopefully we can find the answer and lower the cost of operation, and the industrial users can operate and be successful. The less we talk with them, the better off it is.
Did I also see a section or a sentence or two in here, and I was trying to find it earlier today again, but where it talked about the time of the year that these things seem to spike. Was that in the fall? And something about bacterial loads in the sanitary sewer?
Usually when the industrial users ramp up their process, when the harvest comes in, that's when it's usually worse.
Oh, okay. I guess the way it read in here, it almost made it sound like it was kind of from the storm, like maybe it was leaves and stuff like that dying, collecting in storm drains or something.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't want
even
leaves in the sanitary sewer.
Not even close. That's right. 2 separate systems. Okay. Do you have any idea? Were they talking time frame as to when they might have some kind of an answer on this once it's implemented?
As I remember, it was 6 to 8 weeks.
Are we under any type of pressure from the DNR or
No.
anything like that on it? No.
No.
So basically, it's not a hurry up and get it done. It's a
Well, you want to get it
Sooner
done,
than
but-
later, obviously.
But no, nobody's sweating or anything yet.
Okay. Thank you.
I think to the question, though, given that this is the first step of a multi-step process to resolve the issue at the wastewater treatment plant, I mean, it's, as Jim alluded to, it's great. We've got industrial users that are engaged in helping cost share the fact-finding or the investigation, really, as to how we can remedy the situation. Ultimately, there will be a request or some modifications to either the plant or to industrial users or to both to remedy the situation. So expect that this will be the first of the findings, ultimate findings that Strand will hopefully come up with, and then the industrial users will also have to invest in. So to your question as to time frame, that's the first phase of this. And Jim, if you'd like to maybe allude on to your time frame of remedy. We hope that we get through this, as quickly as possible, because it costs us more than we'd like to think it should.
Could be a year, but the mayor's spot on. This is just the first round, and when it comes to capital, if there's any capital investment, then I don't know how the game will be then, but we'll see.
I guess with that in mind, have you started to look at numbers or anything along those, or start to kind of squirrel some away for what may have to be done?
Well, we
over there?
do have reserves, but the study's really going to tell us where the problem is and where it needs to get fixed.
Okay.
And, so right now, you're kind of, I can't answer you, I can't tell you what it's going to be or what we might have to spend in capital improvements. I don't
Jumping
know.
too far down the line already.
Right, that's what the study's for.
Sure, thanks.
The cost avoidance will be one of the components, and if we can avoid some of the costs that we're incurring today to carve out for a remedy, that certainly the industrial users are interested in that piece as well, as all of us as ratepayers are interested as well. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots.
Motion carried. 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Item number 10, under new business, item A is to consider a resolution reaffirming the city's commitment to sustainability. Council members, this is attachment number 3 and number 4 in your packet. As was mentioned in my council report, item 3 is the memorandum, and then item 4 is the actual resolution. With that, I'd entertain a motion on item 10A. We do have members of the forming Sustainability Council here this evening as well. I had mentioned, in case somebody wants to recognize, Joe Ansel was instrumental in 2009 in getting the first resolution passed by the City Council at that time. If you'd like him to speak or if you have questions for him. Otherwise, Lee, our intern in my office as well, who's assisted us in this process, and anybody else I'm not seeing, but please indicate if you'd like to be recognized.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Kirkpatrick. Is there a second? Second by Kellogg. Move into discussion. Any discussion on the proposed resolution as presented? Seeing none, move into a vote. Please cast your ballots.
Motion carried. 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you for your support on that. As was stated earlier, there will be more forthcoming from that group as it forms as well. Thank you for being here, Joe and others from the sustainability efforts. Item number 11, Standing Council Committee Reports. Item A, Finance and Property Committee meeting held January 6th. Alderperson Stack, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Finance and Property Committee met at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 6, 2015, in the first floor conference room at City Hall. A list of those attending is with the report. Item 1, the meeting was called to order. Item 2, a special beer license application filed by the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce for business after hours at American Hotel on January 15th, 2015, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. It was moved by Dolan, seconded by Stack to approve the license. Motion carried. Item 3A, a renewal application for a pawnbroker, secondhand article dealer, and secondhand jewelry dealer license filed by Jonathan Reuter, doing business as E-Way Sales LLC, for the premise located at 3511 8th Street South. It was moved by Dolan, seconded by Stack to approve the application and issue the license. Motion carried. Item 3B, a renewal application for a secondhand article dealer license filed by Michael Nichols, doing business as GameStop, number 3234, for the premises located at 930 Coon Avenue. It was moved by Dolan, seconded by Stack to approve the application and issue the license. Motion carried. A request from Street Superintendent Jim Borski to review and possibly approve quotes for a floor sweeper. It was moved by Dolan, seconded by Stack to approve purchasing the Advanced CS 7000 LP Hybrid for $44,983. Motion carried. Item 5, a request from Police Chief Hoyer for an additional crossing guard for Washington School for 2015 at the 28th Street, Washington Street intersection. Assistant Chief Randy Johns and I think be Safety Officer Casey Borchardt were present for this item. It was moved by Dolan, seconded by Stack to fund half of the position for $1,865 from the contingency fund, and the other half will be funded by the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department safety budget. The position will be reassessed in 2016 budget. Motion carried. Item 6, a special events application filed by the Southwood County Humane Society for their Super Snow Sculpture Spectacular on January 24th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to include vending and use of the parking lot and grounds of the Centralia Center and the Riverwalk. It was moved by Stack, seconded by Dolan to approve the application and the use of the Riverwalk, parking lot and grounds of the Centralia Center. Motion carried. Item 7, a request to partner with Encourage Community Foundation on a grant application to Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation in the amount of up to $500,000 for the renovation of the former Daily Tribune building. It was moved by Dolan, seconded by Whirl, to approve of the city partnering with the Encourage Community Foundation in applying for a $500,000 Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation grant. Motion carried. Item 8, contract proposal from Ehlers and Associates to amend Tax Incremental District 7 project plan. It was moved by World, seconded by Dolan, to approve the contract from Ehlers and Associates to amend Tax Incremental District 7's project plan. The final cost of the contract will be dependent on the phases of the contract the city chooses to have done. Motion carried. See item 1. Beverage operator license applications. It was moved by Whirl, seconded by Stack, to approve license applications for the following new applicants. Motion carried, and they are listed. There were no renewal beverage operator license applications. 9C, there were no beverage operator applications recommended denied by the police department. Item 10, audit of the bills. The committee audited the bills. It was moved by Whirl, seconded by Dolan, to approve voucher 57674, 12/1/2014, through voucher 58046, 12/31/2014, and to recommend payment. Motion carried. It was moved by Whirl, seconded by Dolan, to adjourn. Motion carried. The meeting adjourned at 6:10 p.m. James Stack, Chairman. Terry Dolan, Secretary. Now, first of all, on report number 2, I'd like to apologize sincerely to those who were present that evening who did not have an opportunity to speak. It's not my nature to go in closed session right away off the top of the meeting. I think in the back of my mind, I saw myself speaking with our committee city staff, and the folks from Encourage Community Foundation. So my sincere apologies to all who were there that evening and who did not have an opportunity to speak. It was gross negligence on my part. Again, I extend to you my sincerest apology. The Finance and Property Committee met at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, January 15th, 2015, in the third floor conference room at City Hall. The list of those attending is noted. And we had Jeff Femright attending via teleconference. The meeting, item 1, the meeting was called to order. Item 2A, it was moved by Whirl, seconded by Dolan, to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, which states, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Roll call on the motion resulted in the motion carrying unanimously. Item 2B, in closed session, the committee considered and discussed negotiations regarding a development agreement with Community Property Incorporated for the development of the former Tribune property, the sale of the Market Square parking lot, and the development of other city property adjacent to the parking lot. Item 2C, it was moved by Stack, seconded by Whirl to return to open session. Item 2D, the committee considered approval of the development agreement referenced above regarding the development of the former Tribune property, the sale of the Market Square parking lot, and the development of other city property adjacent to the parking lot. It was moved by Stack, seconded by Dolan, to approve the terms of the development agreement as outlined in the executive summary, with the revision that the parking lot parcel shall revert back to the city upon the event of a default by the developer of any terms of the agreement, or if the parcel is not used as a parking lot. Motion carried 2 ayes and 1 nay. Item 3, it was moved by Stack, seconded by Whirl to adjourn. Motion carried. The meeting adjourned at 7:35 p.m. James Stack, chairperson, Terry Dolan, secretary. At this time, Your Honor and members of the council, I would move for adoption of the first report and that we hold out the second report because that is also on the schedule, on the agenda tonight for further discussion as item 15.
Motion is to approve item, report number 1, item A, under 11, to hold out item 15, or the meeting from January 15th. Are your intentions to go into closed session at the end of the meeting, Jim?
I do not know at this point if we need to go into closed session.
Okay, so we'll
or
just
if we
hold it
can
out
stay.
and,
So
okay.
just hold it out, please.
All right, very good.
And if the members
Sure. We have a
understand.
we have a motion and a second on the first report. Any discussion on the first report? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. Please cast your ballots.
Motion carried. 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Okay, that leaves us with the balance of the reports, which is January 15th's meeting. Jim, did you have any thing you'd like to start off on that, since you the motion, or any other member? I guess that now we're clear, so now.
Just that, at this point in time, I'd like to wait till we come to item 15 to decide if we'd like to go into close. We don't have to decide now at this time, correct? And I have no further comments on it.
You do have to decide, as I understand, unless the city attorney advises us otherwise.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess the reason, especially if we have a number of people here, is if we can get it done and open, then we can take care of this matter and then go on. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting until the closed session. So I don't know if the council wants to go into closed session. I guess we should know that now, and then we'll move on with the balance of the agenda. Or if not, we can take this on and open right now. So it's really up to you.
I see no need to go into closed. I would leave it open.
No need to motion, yeah. Okay, and Sue indicated that you could always decide if there's elements that you want to talk about in closed, that you could go do so. So at that point, that leaves us with item number 2, or the report from January 15th. I'd entertain a motion on that report. We have a motion by Ferkey to accept the report. Is there a second? And a motion by Kirkpatrick to second. Move into discussion.
Yes, pardon me.
Alderperson Stack, please.
Thank you. I don't want to in any way preclude subsequent conversation on this item. So the adopting of this at this point does not preclude that. Is that correct?
The adoption would be final, as I understand,
Right, the time to discuss it will be before
is now essentially.
it's accepted, right. So
Yeah.
now would be the time for
The option
discussion on
is
it.
either to go into closed at the end of the meeting, or talk about it in an open now and decide to go to closed at some point, or to go into closed entirely. So now would be the time for discussion. So if you're looking to yield time, or discuss the item, this would be the time to do so. Please, yeah, there was some amendments made between the last meeting and today that were discussed, so the city attorney will identify those.
Right, and you have those in front of you now, and they are consistent with the motion from the meeting, the finance meeting. You will note specifically the term of the development agreement. It specifically states 20 years. I think before it really wasn't, it alluded to the 20 years on the promissory note, but it's now clear that the development agreement is 20 years. There is the reversionary interest of the parking lot parcel, which is in 2G, that in the event of a default, actually it's an additional option that we would have to demand a reversion of the parking lot parcel, or we could accelerate the promissory note, among other remedies that were previously included in the previous agreement. And then there are also a few things that we had talked about with Encourage that were not in the previous summary. And one is our fireworks. We wanted to make sure for this year at least that they recognize that because of where we shoot off the fireworks, that the building would be closed on July 3rd when they start setting up, and then all day July 4th. They would agree that they would make parking available for special city events, and there's also something for them to negotiate with the Moravian Church for their parking needs for that parking lot parcel. So those are the changes from the executive summary. So I would ask that if, this is okay, or, after you've had discussion and that you would then approve the executive summary that's dated January 20th with the revisions, or with any changes you may want, I guess, but thanks.
So we have a motion to approve on the floor.
And the motion to approve is what? I'll have to ask. Are we motioning to approve the executive agreement, or are we motioning
It would be to approve this executive summary,
executive summary?
which is the basis for a development agreement, which would be the basis for a development agreement. The development agreement would contain these terms in it.
Okay, and following approval of this executive summary, if it was approved, we could not go into any discussion. So we will want to have discussion
Right.
prior to that,
Exactly, right.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to have discussion. I think other members of the council do as well. So then I would withdraw my motion.
The motion
You
was
can have discussion after the
made by Alderperson Ferkey, and
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
so now we're on discussion, on the
Okay, so
report.
We're open for discussion from
Floor is
those
open.
present
That's right,
as well as the council,
right,
correct?
that's correct. Yeah, if you'd like to yield time to members of the audience or anybody.
Yeah.
Floor is yours. Alderperson Dolan is, Alderperson Dolan is first.
Okay.
I guess Shane's fancy system up here.
I'm not going to waste anybody's time. I'd just like to give Kelly Ryan from Encourage a chance to speak.
Kelly, would you like to come forward? And
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like me to make remarks, or would you like me to answer questions? I will be happy to do both.
I think there are questions because, because of the closed session last time, people
Yep.
didn't get to ask questions, so
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. But also, in my personal opinion as a council member, we were accused of kind of keeping people in the dark, and I know you guys are very open, so I'd also like you to discuss the project, too.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. So I'll be happy to do that, and then certainly answer questions, and would invite our team up to answer questions as well. So the first thing I would say is that I'm happy that this conversation is happening in open session. As Terry referred to, Encourage is a very transparent organization. We have been very transparent with the Tribune building process. We have invited every resident from this region to participate in that process, and over 700 have. So we think that this kind of transparent conversation about interest, our interest, the community interest, downtown development interest, we are all much better served as a community if these kind of dialogues happen in an open forum like this. So I just want to say thank you for that. The Tribune building will provide direct benefit to our community, as you're all aware, and we talked about in finance and property, and many of the people in the audience tonight are aware because they contributed to the ultimate decision around what would take place in that facility. So we will build and own a microbrewery. We will construct and support a cafe that is rooted in our local food system and uses local food assets. And we will support and invest in entrepreneurial activity in that building in the form of having a culinary kitchen and incubator. A culinary kitchen and incubator, as we discussed in the finance and property meeting, is all about supporting new business activity in this community and connecting that building and its presence in the center of downtown to economic growth and activity. There will be recreational rentals, allowing residents to enjoy and use the riverfront and the river in new and different ways. A creative workshop space, training for entrepreneurial businesses, as I mentioned, and community gathering spaces. We also see indirect benefits, and I think one is the conversation that's happening tonight that I hope is opening a new conversation about common interest in terms of downtown development, transparency in terms of agenda and interest, and understanding that we all have a common interest in the future of this community. Excuse me. Also, indirect will be generating new investments in downtown, ours and others, making downtown living attractive for condos, restaurants, and arts. And I heard the approval of a sustainability strategy for the city tonight. The Tribune building is committed to sustainability also, and those of you that have participated know that we spent one full evening with the co-creator of the LEED system, an American Green Building Council, to look at incorporating sustainable practices into that building, modeling that kind of behavior for others in the community. So let me tell you just a little bit about Encourage, because it's clear that I need to talk a little more about Encourage and what it is that we represent. So we represent the community. Encourage does not have a single specific issue agenda. In 2012, we conducted the broadest community survey that was ever done in this community, and we had over 4,500 people respond from throughout this region. And they said to us, we have 4 priorities. 4 priorities to A, create a strong economy, B, seek to attract and retain young adults, C, to foster the idea of being open to new ideas and change in this community, and 4th, to value, preserve, and effectively use our natural resources and recreation. So we are a community institution. Our vision is a community that works well for everyone that lives here. And I say that because I think it's really important to know that we do have the common good at the heart of our institution. In the developers agreement, I will say that we were very generous. We worked very closely with the city to give everything that was asked of us in the form of a developers agreement. We agreed to $850,000 annual value to produce tax increment for the city. So modeling behavior that we value public services, we recognize that public budgets are constrained, but we also recognize that there will be commercial and economic activity that will happen in that building, as I just outlined. This is a new day. It's not just a nonprofit organization. This is a hybrid approach to economic development and to growth. And it's happening in communities all over the United States, right? It's what's called social enterprise. It'll produce benefit to not just the economy, but to the people that live here. Further, we offered $150,000 to help support exterior improvements and connection to the Centralia Center. We have a vested interest in the Centralia Center. We have an interest in its success, and we believe there can be greater utilization of that space and connection, intentional connection to the Tribune property and use of the riverfront. So our intention there is to help support city development and shared development in that arena. We agreed to, of course, improve the lot. The reversion clause, so that if this does not happen, the property reverts back to the city. And finally, of course, to be good neighbors and work in a very transparent manner with the Moravian Church and others who would like to use that space for parking. I would also add, if there is, at some point in the future, a parking ramp realized in the downtown area, wherever that might be, that Encourage has an interest in advancing shared development opportunity. We would not be opposed to a higher and better use for that parking lot, should it be made apparent that there's a higher and better use, and that parking is really more closely concentrated in that downtown area, and we could all take advantage of a ramp, but I don't see a ramp right now. And right now, that parking is a great use of that space right behind that building. I just say that to know that, our interest is not in keeping it parking forever if there's a better use and parking is available elsewhere. I would repeat what I said before, that we have a history of being transparent and of being a good partner with the city in a number of different ways, whether it's the Centralia Center and the adaptive reuse of that former blighted Walmart building, whether it's constructing a building out at the zoo called Helen's Zoo House and providing programmatic money every single year to have program out there. Any number of different ways we have demonstrated that we're good partners for the community and that we're transparent. And I would say we began this process with purchase of the Gannett building by reaching out to the city and saying, we're in negotiations to purchase that building. We recognize it is part of the downtown plan, and it's part of something called Market Square. We commit that we will partner with you to advance a shared plan, and what we're looking for is partnership in return. So I just want to say we've been very transparent about that from inception, and very transparent about our interest in that parking lot since that time. And then I just have a couple comments, and I'll stop and take questions. I really do believe that it is time for us as a community to get past competing interests and to figure out how do we advance common and shared development, particularly in the downtown area. I think that's a question for all of us. I think it requires leadership. It requires the idea that we have shared vision. There are other properties in the downtown area that many of you are aware have just changed ownership, of course, from New Page to Verso, and that would be the parking lot adjacent to the Tribune building on the riverfront, the River Block building, and then the parking lot behind the River Block building. I'm very transparently telling you that we have made an offer on those properties, along with others. Our intent in making that offer is really not to accumulate real estate. That's not what Encourage is in the business of doing. Our intent is assuring that there's synergistic use along the riverfront and in that parking adjacent to the Tribune building, in that lot, right? So I'm just sharing that in a very transparent way with you, because most everyone in this room is aware that there are multiple offers on those properties. So I'm just sharing that in the interest of being transparent. I want to say that I've also been part of recent conversations about potentially abandoning, now not initiated by us, but potentially abandoning the Tribune building project in favor of other development that might be interested in that site. And I will tell you that that site is not large enough to accommodate the scale of development that's being discussed in terms of looking at different sites. And I'm happy to talk about that further in closed session if you'd like. But at the end of the day, Encourage is about attracting and building an investment structure within which we can bring new resources into this community. We have a demonstrated track record of doing that. We're doing that with the Tribune building. And when I say resources, I don't mean just money. I mean also bringing expertise in and a variety of other resources to help us work together in figuring out what we're doing in downtown. And last thing I would just say is, we have to go back to the core element of trust. And, this is something that Encourage has been all about in our work with residents is how do we foster trust between and among each other? And we like to refer frequently to the concept of holding the community in trust, and that we all each have a responsibility to do that. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to make some comments and to outline what we think are the key elements of the developers agreement, and to ask for, I think, a much larger discussion around the future of downtown. Thank you.
Alderperson Dolan, did you have any pressing questions? Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Ryan while she's at the podium? Or for any other Encourage representatives? Anybody? Alderperson Ferkey, please.
Thank you for coming, Kelly. I think a lot of the questions in cold feet a little bit on some of the council was the accelerated process that has happened here in the last week. So maybe you could address that.
Why that is.
To kind of calm our fears a little bit and maybe the audience too.
Sure. And I would invite, if we have our project manager, Chelsea Mazurek, and actually our legal counsel that helped draft the developers agreement if necessary. But we had several conversations with WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and they actually surfaced for us proactively that the Tribune building project was a perfect fit with a grant opportunity of theirs, which was up to $500,000 for projects that were very much resident focused, had a strong resident engagement component, and focused on revitalization of downtowns. They encouraged us to think about pursuing that opportunity in partnership with the city, because it's a city relationship with the state, and it requires a match, and Encourage would support the match part of that. As part of that dialogue with the regional representative from WEDC, it was made clear that a developer's agreement was required in our conversation, that it would demonstrate the city's partnership and commitment, and in her words, having some skin in the game is exactly what she said. So WEDC grant component really did accelerate the conversation, probably more so than we anticipated at the time, because the deadline for that is actually next week. Then the second piece is it would have been reported earlier in the Tribune that we've been approved for $6 million in new market tax credit allocation for that building. And part of pursuing the new market tax credit allocation also lends great credence and support for that, having a developer's agreement in place for use of that parking lot, because that would be considered part of the development itself and what we would be leveraging funds for that $6 million allocation.
Further questions? Okay. Alderperson Stack, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The parking lot as used now has limited use. We both know that. Mm-hmm. Going forward, except for specific arrangements that you may have for an activity in the building or on the grounds, that parking would always be available to anyone who was in the area.
It's open, it would be treated as open parking, yes.
As open parking.
Yes. Yep.
What you're proposing is that you will own or lease this parking lot, make improvements, but it will still be available to anyone at a time that you are not using it for a specific event that you might have.
Absolutely. We believe that a full parking lot and a problem with parking there would be a great thing for us to have. Honestly, truly.
Sure. Okay.
I think we all would, yeah.
Okay. I guess right now that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? I've got one raised by a resident earlier today. A neighboring property owner had indicated should development occur, right? If the full parking lot and all of these things start to develop because of whether it's catalytic nature of the Tribune building project or other related projects, to what extent Encourage might be willing to partner for reuse of the parking lot? You had mentioned in the onset of your comments, but I think it'd be important for all of us to hear that, that Encourage's willingness to support the community's best interests.
Absolutely.
To support other alternative uses should that day come.
Absolutely. I mean, the best conversation that we can have is have all interests and parties around the table to say, what is the approved plan that's in place right now? How do we work together to advance that? And if there's an opportunity that advances common good in that downtown area, we're happy to support the creation of a parking ramp, right? I mean, our architect with Concordia, as some of you know, did an aerial map of the flat surface parking that we have around that downtown area. And there's quite a bit of it, but it's kind of disparate and it's not connected, right? And so it's an opportunity, if we have the development there to support it, to migrate parking to a concentrated venue like a ramp would make a whole lot of sense. But a ramp is expensive, and we have to figure out where would a ramp come from. And until that time, we're happy to support the development of that parking lot, which would need to be resurfaced by the city anyway, sometime in the next 24 months.
Thank you. Other discussion, questions? I guess, Jim, please.
Again, in the developer's agreement, item D, it says, during the 20-year term of development, the developer will pay the city annually with respect to the Tribune property an amount equal to the current mill rate multiplied by the greater of the actual taxable value of the Tribune property, or $856,000. The $856,000, is that what we're stating at this time this evening is the value of that property, and the taxes would be assessed against it based on that value?
The assessor's here, but the answer is no.
I didn't think so
There was a
myself.
little bit of rationale that went into that based on the proposed reuse of the space, the square footage, in terms of what that value would become if it were occupied. I think the restaurant, the microbrewery. I guess, Steve, do you want to maybe come to the front and indicate the answer to that question, if you could, please?
In the agreement, it was basically stated that there was a minimum value, and that was the $856,000. And that was based on numbers that were given to our office based on the project itself. It was by no means saying that would be the final value. It could be $2 million, it could be $1 million, but the minimum would be the $856 that they agree upon.
And in that case, based upon the current tax structure, they would pay taxes according to that value, but no, at any time, no less than that value.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions or open discussion, I guess. It doesn't have to be a question. If anybody has any for Kelly. Alderperson Kirkpatrick, please.
Thank you. I guess I don't really have any questions where I think we covered a lot of good ground at the finance meeting. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but You know, I really like a lot of things that you said. I think there's a lot of really good content in there, and which leads us to what else we can do in the area down the line. And I look forward to what you bring to fruition down there as being kind of maybe not necessarily maybe the last leg, but another leg of Centralia Center, the Cultural Center, and now the Tribune property, and really kind of boosting that area down there as a cultural hub, much like we have so many activities that take place on the east side of the river in Veterans Park and along the riverbank there. We have the same opportunity on the other side, and I think perhaps greater opportunity because of the facilities that are there. So I look forward to the doors being open on all of these venues for really good things to come. You know, I agree with this developers agreement that we've got set forward here. I think it covers what we need it to cover. I think it addresses the concerns that, you know, we have had, certain members have had, that all of us perhaps have shared at one point in reading this thing from the start here. I did want to give attention to those who might have a differing opinion, a dissenting opinion about things. I did receive one phone call. I know, Terry, you received similar, and other members have probably received similar calls as well, perhaps voicing concerns in the opposite direction. So, you know, just in fairness and openness to everything here, and because there are two sides to everything, I'd like to recognize if anyone would like to have expressed a different opinion about what's taking place here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any members of the audience or the public that would wish to address the body based on Alderperson Kirkpatrick's invitation, he's yielding his time for you to come to the podium to indicate a position that you might have. It may be to the contrary, as he stated, to approval of the developers agreement. Anybody wishing to address the body of that sort? I'm not seeing anyone volunteering. Alderperson Kirkpatrick, please.
Thank you.
Take your time back, right?
If I just might call that same question one more time, if there would be anybody who'd like to either speak for or against what's proposed here tonight. I see one lady stand up in the back, and I don't know if she's coming this way or going that way. Yeah, to the podium, and then state your name and.
My name is Mary Lou Plummer. I'm the pastor of the Moravian Church here on 310 3rd Avenue South. And first of all, I wanted to say to Chairman or Councilman Stack, thank you for your apology regarding the closed session on January 15th. It's very much appreciated. And the blessing from that meeting is while we were waiting outside the closed session, we got to have conversation with members of the Encourage Foundation. And I am assured of the transparency and the reassurance that the agreement the city and the church made probably about 1983 when the reconstruction on 3rd Avenue South was made, that we had a gentleman's agreement to use the Market Square parking lot. And our concern was if the property was transferred to Encourage Foundation, if we would still have that agreement honored. And I was assured by Executive Director Kelly Ryan that they would definitely work with us. And so we're reassured that way. But thank you for your apology and for the time that we had to create relationships with the Encourage members. Thank you.
Silver lining and all. Alderperson Kirkpatrick, did you have anything?
Yeah, thank you. And anyone else want to speak in any way about this?
Hello. I'm Amy Scheid. I live at 2541 2nd Avenue South, and I'm here today as a representative of my community and as a project advisor for this program, for this project. I appreciate the opportunity to thank you, or to have the opportunity to speak, and I also appreciate the opportunity that I've been given to advise this group of positive, people and getting this project done. I'm very blessed in that I get to be the one that takes the calls from young entrepreneurs in this community that never thought they'd have an opportunity to bring their dream to reality, either through production of a product in that space, through a relationship that's been built with a local farmer who now understands that people are really working to hear their voice and to build relationships between that cafe space and the hard work that they do, between the culinary kitchen and the hard work that they do. And I've had a number of calls today from local business people in that area that are also very enthusiastically behind this project. They feel that the attention that's being driven toward this exciting development in our community is going to shine a very positive light on their businesses and the businesses that we as small business owners in this community have worked tirelessly to build. I know that there was some talk at one time about this being a competitive environment, having a cafe space. As a restaurant owner in this community, I couldn't be more excited about the prospect of having that cafe space be populated by someone who believes in local food. I would be honored to be a part of that development. As a supporter of the space that's being called the Culinary Kitchen, I can tell you there are a number of people that over the past half dozen years have contacted me and asked, how do we get started in this business? What are the legalities? What kind of licensing do I need? What sort of equipment do I need? How do I get involved with the health department? All of those people are very excited about the prospect that they're going to be able to do it the right way and have that opportunity to develop their business plan. It's pretty neat to be a part of. From these first meetings that I was able to be a part of, to see how 700 community members could voice their opinion, yet work collaboratively to ensure that everyone's voice is being heard, even if their idea was not the one that was moved forward. They all got the opportunity to express that, and it was a very moving experience. And it's put me in a position where I'm very blessed to be the one that people come to with questions and comments about the project. I would just like to offer that if people have questions about how that space is being developed, what educational opportunities are going to be available there, the way in which all of us believe that this will draw attention to our community and to our beautiful riverfront, I would be honored to answer those questions. Thank you.
Are there any other requests to speak or by the members of the council?
Got one lady in front.
Anybody want to yield some time to Rosemarie? Alderperson Kirkpatrick yields his time, please.
Thank you. I just have a question. My name is Rosemary Felice. I live at 3767 Woodridge Trace, Wisconsin Rapids, and I was part of the Centralia project. And I would just like Kelly to elaborate a little bit on what the Centralia project changes would involve.
There actually would be no changes determined by us. What we've offered is $150,000 to the city to help coordinate planning for better use or more coordinated use of the green space in front of that building, which is underutilized right now, that perhaps that could be a connecting feature of some kind to be determined by the people that use the place. Is that a fair assessment of that?
I think it's a fair assessment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we agreed to that and that we would support the planning side of that equation as well.
Thank you. Are there any other requests to speak by the council? Or any members wishing, of the public that wish to be recognized by a member of the council? Okay. I would make a comment. Kelly had initiated a comment, I think, to the body surrounding how this and other conversations that have ensued regarding downtown development, obviously this isn't the first that we've even discussed of recent months, you know, but I think it's time for us to take that opportunity to look and to initiate with other downtown property owners, particularly related to the Tribune Building project surrounding that property, or not, to think about what is that shared strategy, that alignment of priorities. Obviously, we have community members that have vested interests in addition to us as elected officials, but to engage in that discussion surrounding the waterfront district and to understand what other opportunities exist. Obviously, we have a developer and a development agreement this evening, but there's a lot of other opportunities in that district that we can continue to discuss and accept that challenge. If it were a challenge, it's not so much a challenge, but more of an invitation to have that discussion with other stakeholders in the area. Council members, we've got a motion to approve the developers agreement in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. Please cast your ballots.
Motion carried. 6 ayes, 2 nays.
Thank you. Thank you, members of the audience and council members, for that discussion. Move into item number 11B, the Public Works Committee meeting held January 6th. Alderperson Rayom. I get stuck that way too.
Ready?
Please.
Good evening. Public Works Committee met at 6:15 p.m. on January 6, 2015, in the first floor conference room in City Hall. All members were present. Also attending were Alderperson Chad Worrell, Alderperson Todd Furkey, Joe Eichstead, Nick Dooms. A list of others present is on file in the clerk's office. Item 1 was call the meeting to order. Item 2, review the draft policy governing the riverbank maintenance. The committee reviewed the policy and made revisions. There was a motion and a second to send the revised draft policy to the council for input. That motion carried. That's attachment 1 in the packet here. Item 3, request permission to bid the following contracts on an annual basis. Curb and gutter and sidewalk maintenance. B, asphalt paving. C, concrete pavement patching. There was a motion and a second to allow city staff to bid the above contracts this year and on an annual basis thereafter. The motion carried. Item 4, request permission to bid the following contracts in 2015. A, 2015, the LaRip Apple Street, 8th Street South to 10th Street, 12th Street. B, 2015, LaRip Straight, Chestnut Street, 8th Street South to 16th Street South. There's a motion and a second to grant permission to bid the above contracts in 2015. That motion carried. Item 5, request the dedication of city-owned property for street purposes as an addition to the Peach Street right-of-way from State Highway 54 to 268 feet west of State Highway 54 in a 4.5-foot strip of land along the west right-of-way of State Highway 54 between Peach Street and Oak Street to be included in the Highway 54 right-of-way. There's a motion and a second to dedicate the city-owned property as right-of-way, and the motion carried. Item 6, request the dedication of city-owned property for street purposes as an addition to the High Street right-of-way between 8th Avenue North and 9th Avenue North. There was a motion and a second to dedicate the city-owned property as an addition to the High Street right-of-way, and the motion carried. Item 7, a request to remove the following portions of Section 27.12 of the Municipal Code entitled Parking by Permit. D, the city-owned parking lot between 4th Avenue North and 6th Avenue North, and north of West Jackson Street, the Brigg Northern Auto Lot, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. E, the city-owned parking lot bounded by 2nd Street North, Baker Street, and Market Street, the Roland parking lot, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. There was a motion and second to remove these sections from the municipal code. The motion carried. Attachment 2 in the packet. Item 8 was to review the proposed 2015 Public Works project schedule. Project schedule was reviewed by the committee. Item 9 was to review the referral list. The committee reviewed the list. Items 18, 19, 21 of 2014 can be removed. Item 10, there was a motion and a second to adjourn. The motion carried. The meeting adjourned at 7:06 p.m. And with that, Your Honor, I move for adoption of the report.
We have a motion by Rayum to approve. Is there a second? We have a second. Alderperson Kirkpatrick. Moving to discussion. Alderperson Stack, you're first, please.
The permission to go out for bids would be done on an annual basis, but we'd always bring those, the results, the bid results back. And then, of course, we've got a certain dollar amount that's approved through the budget process that we have to work within as well.
All right. And then item 5 on the Peach Street. What's that, what's the result of that? There's always been a question lingering about Peach Street coming through to 54. This doesn't impact that in any way, does it?
I was told that there was no intention to go through with the street.
Okay. All right.
That was a concern of mine.
Okay. Thank you.
It was years ago. That was a big issue.
Correct. But now that it's pretty much the Aspira's property, so, okay. Thank you.
Alderperson Kellogg, you're next.
I just wanted to comment on number 2. We're not, as far as I'm concerned, we're not voting on that. There was a constituent in my area, my district, that had a concern about maintenance of the riverbank, and there was a proposal presented to the Public Works Committee. I made some suggestions and changes, and we had a great discussion. And so we thought the Mayor's Council on Beautification would be, they have some expertise in that area, be a great group, and we met yesterday, and they gave some input and suggestions. We met with Jim Borski. He needs to have input. He's the one that's going to implement the policy. And so we would like to come back to the Common Council next month with the inclusion, after our meeting, with some of the inclusion of these parties, and then Common Council can make a reaction to that. So I thought I should make a point that we're not, I hope we're not voting on that number 2.
That's correct. The way I read it, yeah, I understand the Public Works Committee may take it up at the next meeting if, in fact,
Right.
the draft has been edited at that point. Sure. Further discussion. Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Motion is to approve the Public Works Committee report on January 6th.
Motion carried. 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Item C under 11, Human Resources Committee meeting held January 6th.
Thank you,
Alderperson
Mayor,
Worrell.
fellow councilmen, viewers at home. Item 1, the Human Resources Committee was called to order at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, January 6, 2015, in the third floor conference room here at City Hall. All committee members were present. All others present are on file. Item 2, consider approval of the 2015 Health and Wellness Plan, including expenditures from the Health Plan Fund for the wellness programming, as been done in the previous years. A presentation will be made by Ministry Health Employer Solutions on their Functional Integrated Training Program. A presentation was made by Ministry Health Solutions on their training program. There was a motion and a second to approve the 2015 Health and Wellness Operating Plan, including expenditures from the Health Plan Fund for the wellness programming, and that motion carried. To see Attachment 1. Item 3, consider a request to approve revisions to the Public Access Assistant Producer job description, including changing the title to Assistant Multimedia Specialist and increasing work hours and pay rate. There was a motion and a second to approve the job description change. There was a motion and a second to approve the job description, change the title to Assistant Multimedia Specialist, increase work hours from 20 to 30 hours per week and increase pay from $7.54 per hour to $12 per hour, and that motion also carried. See attachment 2. Item 4, consider a request to approve a new job description and evaluation for a Director of Public Works position. There was a motion and a second to approve the job description at the pay grade 23 with a range of $85,117 to $96,304, and to begin the recruitment process. That motion also carried. See attachment 3. Item 5, the committee voted to go into closed session to conduct specified business whenever competitive and bargaining reasoning require a closed session. There was a motion and a second to go into closed session. There was a roll call vote taken with all voting in the affirmative, and that motion carried. In closed session, as noted, committee discussed negotiation strategy between the police and fire groups. The committee adjourned in closed session. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve these minutes and place them on file.
We have a motion to approve by Whirl and a second by Dolan. Move into discussion. Any discussion on the Human Resources Committee report? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. Please cast your ballots.
Motion carried, 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Item 12 on our agenda is miscellaneous reports. Item A, Southwood County Airport Commission meetings held December 11th and December 15th. The December report for the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department. Item C is the City Treasurer's monthly reports for November and December. Item D, the Wisconsin Rapids Housing Authority held November 19th. Item E, McMillan Memorial Library Board of Trustees held November 12th. Item F, Police and Fire Commission held December 10th. Item G, the Wastewater Treatment Commission held January 7th. Item H, the December 2014 and annual summary of the Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department. Item I, Waterworks and Lighting Commission held December 10th, their regular meeting, December 10th, the special meeting, and December 23rd, special meeting. Council members, what are your wishes regarding those reports? We have a motion to approve by Rayom and a second by Dolan. Any discussion? Alderperson Kirkpatrick, please.
Thank you. I guess I'm going to have a couple questions from two different minutes here. One is on the airport minutes. This would be 12/15 of 14. Item 2, commissioners left the terminal building and inspected airport property, specifically encroachments adjacent to the property located at a specific property parcel. Property lines were inspected and buildings were identified as being on airport property. I mean, how did this ever, was it something that was erected outside of the permit process, or what happened with this?
Well, there's any number of things that have happened. It's actually not in the town of Grand Rapids. It's in the village of Port Edwards. It is in the town of Grand Rapids right there, yes, okay. 40 Airport Avenue is the property, as you see on there. Essentially, the Bureau does a compliance review, Bureau of Aeronautics, and they put us on notice in their compliance review, essentially an audit, that there were a couple of things outstanding, one of which was a shooting range that was on airport property at the county shooting rifle, which has been now is no longer being used. This was the last outstanding item as it relates to property encroachment, and I appreciate Bill Clendenning being here, fellow airport commissioner. They went out and discussed how and to what extent we want to remove the structures. Essentially, there are a bunch of two sheds that are in shambles. And Bill, do you have an answer to the question about when they were constructed? I don't recall if you've done a search of permits. Yeah, Dead Sea was sick. Yeah. Heard that one before, Bill. So at this point, we're just looking to remedy the situation, remove the structures, and move forward so the Bureau can give us their blessing. But thankfully, it's a small encroachment. Nonetheless, it's still an encroachment and puts us in violation potentially of our federal grant assurances, which is really the big kahuna in the room we need to please as the feds. So that's that piece.
Thank you. Second, if we can jump over to the fire department's report. And Chief, if you can look into your crystal ball. And you referenced a couple times within your report about volumes, run volumes over the years, and how we had a little bit of a decrease and then it's swung back up, but how we haven't had any change to staff numbers. We've had some changes to, I think, how it's been scheduled, but not numbers themselves since, would you say, 1991? So I guess where do you, I think that, the budget's probably fairly well set as it sits right now, but I mean, for the next budget cycle or as things kind of develop here, where do you see your requests coming at? Are you going to start looking for additional manpower? I know you've requested it in the past from time to time or alluded that it may come up. I'm just curious if it's actually going to, push is going to come to shove here.
At this point, my committee of the whole that we had last year, it was the opinion of the alderpersons at that time that it would be through overtime. So I did increase overtime for this upcoming year. Past that, it's hard to say. I currently still don't believe that overtime's the answer. Personally, myself as department head, I think additional staffing is where we need to go because we're getting to the point where our members are overtasked. Personally, it's my view of it. But at this point, I'm very grateful for the additional overtime, but in the future, we'll have to see. I can't give you a clear answer in regards to where it's going to go.
Fair enough. I guess I don't want to say this point forward, but I guess it would certainly be nice to see what values you come up with and, maybe get another committee of the whole at some point in the future, whether I doubt it's going to be next month, but, and just kind of see where these things play out over the course of time with your overtime budget as it's set, and then with the potential of having additional staff members added to the roster. I think that'd be important for us to see, and I know you've always been diligent about that, so thank you.
And I think just a conversation we've had just as of yesterday with the chief on somewhat to the subject, but, within the additional, in his notes, he's got over 300 additional runs last year, and I think we were beginning to discuss what are the environmental things outside of staffing that are impacting the run volume, right? And to what extent should a medical provider like Aspirus add services at Riverview? To what extent transports may change, the number of transports, and so there's the number of calls and the runs, that all impact that. So I think those are the things just to keep watching in the chief's report as the months ensue to understand what are the demands and where are they trending. And, it's an ongoing conversation we have with fire department leadership over there. So thank you.
Yeah, and one of my plans for this upcoming year is to actually make it very transparent where our run volume is coming from. One of the things I will be putting on there will be exactly the way we put it down through on actually where these runs are at. But I think I made it very transparent this last year. Our 911s continue to increase. That's where our major increase is 911. So,
sorry to jump back in there again, but when you say where they're at, are you talking about, pinpointing mileage out or distance out from where you've dispatched your unit from? Is that accurate?
At current, our technology wasn't there, but now we've actually added CAD to our dispatch, so I will be able to actually pinpoint where our runs are at. That's probably something in the future. At this point, I don't have that technology capabilities, but it will be coming soon. So yeah, we will be able to do that further, where we'll actually be able to do districts and zones and show where our runs are at. I think it's pretty obvious that our runs are coming from, right now, 911 EMS. Fireside runs continue to go down nationwide. It's EMS where it's just starting to boom.
Will that also entail having the capability of run time? Or maybe do you log that now, I guess?
We log that now, but we'll actually have a much better understanding of it with the CAD program that we are going to be having. So
I look forward to seeing those numbers too.
Alderperson Stack, you're next.
Thank you, Your Honor. The interfacility transfer is about 20% of your workload. Is that done with overtime, or is that done, how does that work out?
It's actually done two different ways. It's actually done with on-duty people and with with people off-duty with using the interfacility budget line item. If we have a 10-person crew, we utilize 2 people that are on duty. If we're at a 9-person crew, we do a 1-and-1. And if we are at an 8-person crew, we go with 2 people off duty.
And how long, where will the runs take you? Will they take you as far as Milwaukee or the Twin Cities?
We do very few runs to Madison, Milwaukee now just because of our run volumes.
Okay.
Most of our calls had been to Marshfield. Our secondary was Wausau. But I think we're going to see somewhat of a switch where we're going to start doing more Wausau and still be doing some of the Marshfield. I think it's going to get closer to that 50-50 range now with Riverview becoming an Aspirus hospital.
And with the needs for a person to be transferred to another facility, that's done through the another firm like the old Higgins or another party?
Actually, it's done through Riverview. Riverview actually makes the request, and then also the patient has a request that can also be in place, but you have to remember also that we set them in priorities. There's a priority 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're only taking priority 1s and 2s, so they're actually very sick individuals that we're taking to other facilities of services that are not offered in the Wisconsin Rapids area.
All right.
We are not doing what you would consider a non-emergency type transfer. All the transfers that we're currently doing are actual emergencies.
All right, and that's, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we changed that probably about 2-3 years ago when our run volume started to increase.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
See no further discussion, and please cast your ballots.
Motion carried, 8 ayes and 0 nays.
Item 13, items for new business at the February 17th council meeting. Item A is a scheduled public hearing on the vacation of Oak Street from 372.83 feet east of 20th Street to 525.66 feet east of 20th Street. Item 14, referral of communication to committees. Are there any referrals of communication to committees? All right. Item 15, we've already disposed with in the report this evening. So number 16, I entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion. Is there a second? Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Those that watch from home, have a good rest of your evening.